Hello, it's Joko here, and I'm doing another video feedback for S, we'll just call her S, who posted this. She's a new member to the Tips and Tricks group on Facebook, and I thought I'd provide a Task 1 video feedback. I like this format because it allows the learner, to see how we are thinking as experts and how the examiners will think when they're reading your report. Okay, so let's get right into it. Said task 1, this is from Cambridge 5, so it's been around a while. The graph below shows the proportion of population age 65 and over between 1940 and 2040 in 3 different countries. Okay, this has got a lot of possibilities to show some significant language features. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, we're looking at percentages. Okay? And you have to treat percentages differently than mere numbers, volumes. Okay? We've got age groups. A very popular thing that you'll find in task 1 is talking about ages. And we have time in the past and time in the future. Great opportunity to show off your tenses. So when we analyze a question, you want to think about, all right, what can I do with this? How can I show my English skills? Okay, now when you put it on Facebook, you did not include this information here. Now it's on every task 1, right? We've seen this before. But I think it's important to include it because these are the most important parts of the instructions. Okay, why? If you look at the band descriptors for task 1, it continuously mentions, does the report satisfy the requirements of the task? What does that mean, requirements of the task? Well, quite simply, the requirements of the task are the 4 verbs that you see in this sentence. Summarize means make shorter. Select. Now that you won't see on, well, that's choosing. What? Choosing the main features. Reporting. Accurately. Doesn't say that, but it's very important that you're accurate. And make comparisons where relevant. Relevant, in this case, means comparisons between the major features. Okay, and here's our graphic. 3 countries. So again, when I analyze this, I'm looking for 2 things, 2 main features that I can talk about, right? What are not main features? Oh, stuff like this, okay, right here in the middle. Overall, okay, this part here is not a main feature. Well, there's 2 things that obviously jump out. The trend overall for all the countries from beginning to end is an increase. And then the other thing I see is that these 2 countries, oh, look at that, practically mirrored. A little change here, but for the majority of the period, they show a similar pattern. So when I'm making a comparison, I can talk about things that are the same. Whereas this country, very different. All right, let's see how our student tackled this. Okay, here's her raw, unedited essay or report. Now, please, I know it's just a typo or a formatting thing, and you might think, oh, it's obvious where the paragraphs are. No, it's not. Please, when you put stuff on the group, separate the paragraphs with, oh, look, see, I didn't even notice this. The paragraphs with line breaks, okay? Makes it a lot easier to read. We shouldn't have to do your work for you. Okay, so now here is my analysis. Okay, IELTStemple.blogspot.com. If you like this, you can get it too. All right, I hate promotion. So we use a color code based upon the band descriptors. Important. Purple, task achievement. Gray, coherence and cohesion. Yellow, lexical, vocabulary. Green, grammar. So with this one, what I think I'm going to do is look at each of the tasks, each of the criteria individually. Okay? So, task achievement. You need to report, right? and you need to be accurate. Well, one thing about percentages is that it's not the number of people, it's the proportion, the percentage. The number of older people would say, oh no, there's 10 million, 15 million. So we have an inaccurate right there. Okay, same thing here. Overall, the population increased. No, the percentage increased, not the population. Okay, so again, we want to be accurate. And so 8 and 10% respectively in 1940 for Sweden and USA. Okay, is that right? Oh, I showed up. Wait, where's the? Oh, it's at the top. Yes. Well, that might be 8%. Looks actually closer to 5 than 10, so that's probably 7. This is definitely not 10%. It's below 10%. It might not seem like a big deal, but again, you have to report the numbers accurately or you'll lose marks. Okay. Okay, by the year 2000, both measured 14%. Is that right? 2000. 2000. Should be right here in the middle. Oh, 2000. Here it is. Okay. No, it was, yes, it is important to note that they came to the same point, but it was just before 2000. It wasn't 2000. Be accurate. Suddenly it rose to 5%. It rose not to 5%, by 5% in 2000. Okay. Okay, and then in the second body paragraph, important also to summarize, we found. We did? Who are we? Okay, and then don't include any opinions in task 1. Okay? This is an important thing. Opinions are not on the graph. And when you summarize, you need to reduce what you're talking about. Talk about the most information you can in the fewest number of words. So when you add opinions, like surprising, and improvement, the number went up. It's not an improvement. We don't know that. That's an opinion. Now, this is a word that keeps popping up in task 1s, and so there's some teachers out there who are telling their students to end their essays with surprisingly. No. Don't use it unless it truly is surprising and notably. You can say that. It's of note. A significant difference, something like that. But surprising, that's an opinion. Okay, is the report easy to understand and well organized? Well, I think we should actually go back here. All right, so the line graph illustrates the number of older people of age 65 and higher between 3 countries. Now, I know you're trying to change the words and not use in, but collocation-wise, between doesn't fit there. We could say 4 3 countries. If you just repeat in, it's fine. You don't have to change every word. The data has been calibrated in percentage. Calibrate is something that you do with machines or measure, or a measuring device. We calibrate data by not showing it, but by using data to establish marks. Well, again, let's just look up. Calibrate. To establish the mark. It doesn't mean indicated, which is what you want. And if you put this, the graph, instead of the number of, the percentage of, which is not the word in the original thing, they said proportion, then you don't need any of this. Okay, we talked about that. Now, grammar. Here we have used the present perfect passive voice, and we do it twice. consecutively. That's a repetitive structure. And can you tell me why you use the present perfect passive to seem impressive? It doesn't work here. Increase, in most cases, is an intransitive verb. Yes, you can increase something, but when you're talking about like population, nothing is increasing the population, so it can't be passive. The population increased, okay? Not has been increased. In all of the three mentioned countries, in all three mentioned countries, we don't even need mentioned, over the years. Okay, wait, I want to undo that. Let's go, okay, where? Okay, not where, whereas. Japan, and then you're missing a comma there. Again, has been recorded. Has been recorded. How about, again, this is one thing about this time. When will Japan have the highest number? In 2040. 2040. That's the future. That's the future. This is a what they call a superlative, and always a superlative you begin before it with the. And the number and at the end, but it remained lowest in an early stage for 20 years. For 90 years. This is very unclear. Why would you talk about something remaining that happened before? Okay. Had been lowest, sure. At an early stage, at an earlier stage, and a stage is not 90 years. When you're looking at 100 years, 90 years is not a stage. It's a period, or most of the time. And just be careful with your vocabulary. Okay, this connector is a great connector to use in task 2 when you're talking about opinions. But it's not one you should use with task 1. Okay, now let's look at this paragraph. Whoops, what did I do? Okay, let's look at this paragraph on the whole. Wait, undo. There we go, undo. Undo again. Okay. All of this is all one sentence. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 verbs. Far too many clauses in one sentence. Your punctuation, you've got to look at that. In 1940, the percentage of Japan, the population percentage, the percentage of older people in Japan was only 5%, as compared, not of, but to Sweden. And here we're missing a word. I don't know, actually, this is probably not, yeah. USA also is preceded by the. That accounted, again, collocation with accounted, we use for. Again, end your sentence. End your sentence. That's enough for the sentence. However, the population trend of Sweden and Japan has been significantly improved. Okay, who improved it? No, not has been, but just improved. And actually, it didn't improve. Improve is get better. However, the population trend of Sweden and Japan significantly. However, well, what happened? I have no idea from reading the sentence. I have to look. Sweden, Japan in 2000. However, Sweden and Japan. Oh, both were at. Oh, that's an inaccuracy. It's not Sweden and Japan at 14%. It's Sweden and the USA. Oh boy. Oh. Okay, we got the wrong country, and it didn't improve. It just went up. Where? Not where, but when. This is a time, not a place. When both measured. Now here is a place where you actually should use the passive. We're measured, and then with that it comes with at. At this period from during this period. And again, it's a confusing connector, so that's why I put CC. Oh yeah, and again, after a time clause, this is one everyone should know. Yesterday, tomorrow, in the next 3 years, forevermore. You need to put a comma after a time period if it is beginning the sentence. Japan, but sudden. This requires an adverb because sudden is talking about rose in the end. Okay, so 2000, is that a period? No, it's not a period, it's a year. And it's not just any year, it's a specific year. And we don't need of then too. Okay, now here's this. I could call this grammar because look what this paragraph moved up, open, and again, one big sentence. Moved upward. Upward than. That's not a comparison. While the USA and Japanese. Okay, if you're using Japanese, that's good vocabulary, but you need to also use, if you're going to say Japanese, you have to use the word we use for people from the USA. The American and Japanese population also started after the word start, we use the gerund, increasing. While in 2020, we noted, who are we? Sweden and Japan at 20%, 8%, respectively, and the USA at 15%. Okay. I talked about this. Let's check your numbers. 2020. Actually, I think that's correct. But here's one. After 2020, American and Japanese also started increasing. Well, what happened in 2020? Oh, yes. Okay. Good. Surprisingly, you're missing here during the period from 2020 to 2040, comma, in time period, we found massive improvement. We found? Is 2020 happened yet? We will find. Not improvement. Again, we talked about that before. Is it an improvement? No. Massive growth in Japan, where it will become greater its size and went on top. That's very informal, will increase to be the highest. And here we need a period. Finally, eventually, Japan is predicted will stand at 27%, while in contrast, comma, okay, that's a very common thing. What are you missing here? You need an article missing here. Okay, how would an examiner mark this? Okay, if we look at the, can I? No, as soon as I try to open the band descriptors, the recording will end. But I do encourage you to click on that. Oh, there it is. Like you won't see that on your screen. Oh, don't do that. Okay, anyway, your overview. The information was appropriately selected. Appropriate is a very easy thing to do, but it's unclear. All the stuff in there that kind of gets in the way. When it's been recorded as the highest number at the end, but it remained at the lowest. It's unclear. So unfortunately, it's going to be stuck at a 6. Tolerance, I was almost going to give you a 5. I'm not sure. But the paragraphing does not make any sense. What are you talking about here that's different from here? I don't know. Okay, again, lexical resource, less common vocabulary, but less accurate as well. And then the sentence structures. I mentioned the punctuation and the long run-on sentences. It's going to hurt a lot. And then repeating structures. We noted, I've already, okay. And then up here, repetitive. I fixed it already, but have been improved, have increased. So I'm looking at a 5. Lastly, as long as you're not crying right now, don't worry about it. It's okay. You'll get better. You're new. If you really want some significant help, you can go to this little website down here, and we can do more of this. So here's my model answer. Now, people laugh at me for this, but really, you get to throw in a relative clause right at the beginning. There's a line graph which illustrates the percentage of senior citizens in 3 different nations, beginning in 1940 and with projections through 2040. Overall, it can be clearly seen that the proportions increase steadily during the period. Full stop. That's what they call the most important information. But we need more than one thing. We need to try to find 2 things. Here's the second thing. Whereas the trends in Sweden and the USA have been and are predicted to continue to be somewhat similar, making a comparison. These are similar. The demographic changes in Japan follow a much different pattern. Now, I could say have followed and will follow a much different pattern, but this is still understandable, and I don't want to go over my word count. In 1940, Americans, okay, so then you can read this on your own. You can just pause it. I would recommend that you take a look at that. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, if you're still listening, that means that you learned something or are learning something. And that's the most important thing.